It's Friday, December 4th. I'm Lucy Steiner.
And I'm Sam Cedar. Which of these stories will you be talking about today?
The coronavirus numbers continue to hit new records. Amid the crisis, overtaxed hospitals and health authorities are taking desperate measures to recruit more nurses. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is stoking a nasty intra-party fight in Georgia, which Republicans need to hold in order to keep control of the Senate. And in Wisconsin, his campaign loses once again in the courtroom. And lastly, how much do we need to worry about Trump's civil servants stay behind network? Maybe not too much, according to a new investigation by ProPublica.
You are listening to Majority FM's AM Quickie, and these are the stories you need to know.
It's not letting up. Figures released yesterday showed the United States recorded over 3,100 COVID-19 deaths in a single day, obliterating the record set last spring, the Associated Press reports. For the first time, the number of Americans in the hospital with the virus has eclipsed 100,000. New cases have begun topping 200,000 a day. And Robert Redfield, head of the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, said this week that the next 3 months are going to be, quote, the most difficult time in the public health history of this nation, unquote. And nearly 20,000 Americans could die of COVID-19 during the week of Christmas, according to a CDC forecast. Across the U.S., the surge has swamped hospitals and left nurses and other healthcare workers shorthanded and burned out, the AP reports. Hospitals are trying to lure nurses and doctors out of retirement, recruiting students and new graduates who have yet to earn their licenses, and offering eye-popping salaries in a desperate bid to ease staffing shortages. Nurses who work in intensive care are the most in demand. Dr. Eli Perencevich, an epidemiology and internal medicine professor at the University of Iowa, told the AP that healthcare workers are paying the price for other people's refusal to wear masks. He said, quote, it's sending everyone to war, really. We've decided as a society that we're going to take all the people in our healthcare system and pummel them because we have some insane idea about what freedom really is, unquote. In his final weeks in office, Donald Trump is turning the Republican Party against itself. He will hold a rally in Georgia on Saturday to support Republican Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler against Democrats Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. The January 5th runoff election will decide which party controls the U.S. Senate. But, as the Washington Post reports, Trump has some Republicans worried he could do more harm than good by repeating false claims about the voting system and attacking GOP officials. According to the Post, the competing GOP factions are growing increasingly angry and distrustful. Leading the charge on one side are two Trumpista attorneys who are urging Republicans to withhold their votes from the runoffs if leaders don't fight to overturn the November election. Following their lead, Republican state lawmakers held a hearing yesterday about alleged voting irregularities. On the other side, there is Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and a senior member of his staff, Gabrielle Sterling, who blamed Trump's inflammatory rhetoric for a surge in threats against election officials. And more than a dozen longtime Georgia Republicans penned a letter urging the party to come together and focus on winning the Senate seats, the Post reports. Elsewhere, Trump's campaign to subvert democracy keeps sputtering. The Wisconsin Supreme Court yesterday refused to hear Trump's lawsuit, attempting to overturn his loss to Biden. Justices ruled 4-3 that the case must first wind its way through lower courts, the AP reports. Trump had asked the courts to disqualify more than 221,000 ballots in the state's two biggest Democratic counties. Finally, the AP reports, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey confirmed that it was Trump on the phone when he silenced a call while in the middle of signing papers certifying election results showing Trump lost the state. A video capturing the moment went viral on social media. Good show by Ducey there. What good could possibly come of taking a call from lame duck Trump? Some government watchers are raising concerns over how Trump might exert influence after he's out of office. ProPublica looked into a phenomenon known as burrowing that occurs at the end of every administration. Last week, House Democrats sent a letter to 61 federal agencies asking for information on political appointees who have been hired into career jobs. ProPublica found 32 political appointees whom the Trump administration has sought to hire into civil service positions in the first 3 quarters of this year. In 2019, ProPublica reports, the Office of Personnel Management approved 28 conversion requests. The Trump administration list of burrowers includes a longtime staffer for Grover Norquist's group, Americans for Tax Reform, a former chief of staff to Republican Senator Ted Cruz, and a lawyer for energy and mining companies. The Interior Department accounts for several approved transfers this year. Gregory Sheehan, for instance, was appointed Deputy Director of the Fish and Wildlife Service in June 2017. In that position, he opened vast swaths of federal land to hunting and fishing and weakened protections for endangered species. Sheehan served 14 months before resigning, ProPublica reports. But in August, Sheehan was hired for a $167,000 a year job as Director of the Bureau of Land Management's office in his home state. Susan Jane Brown, a of the Western Environmental Law Center told ProPublica Trump's efforts to burrow employees are coming too late. She said it seems they are looking for, quote, anybody with a pulse to put into some of these positions for the remainder of the lame duck, unquote. Overall, some progressive advocates said they don't think the conversion of political appointees into career positions will be as deep or influential as it was in the last Bush administration, when 139 officials found their way into civil service jobs. So that's a relief.
And now, for some quicker quickies.
Quicker quickie.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi spoke yesterday about finally moving forward on a new coronavirus relief deal. They also discussed reaching a deal on a spending bill to avert a government shutdown on December 11th, the Post reports. Yeah, go on, take your time. It's no big deal. Politico reports that prominent California Democratic strategist Nathan Ballard, a longtime friend and advisor of Governor Gavin Newsom, was arrested and jailed on 2 felony domestic violence charges. The allegations include attempting to suffocate a child with a pillow. In November 2019, Ballard was profiled in Better magazine as one of the Bay Area's most successful dads. There's a story that needs an update. The top U.S. military officer said yesterday that the U.S. should reconsider stationing troops and their families in large overseas bases, the AP reports. Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Mark Milley said he thinks we have too much permanent infrastructure overseas. Defund the empire. Now there's a snappy slogan. Protests by farm workers demanding better wages in Peru raged on for a 4th day yesterday, Reuters reports. Protesters say they have been attacked by police in large numbers and that one person has died. All we can say is solidarity.
Quicker quickie.
That's it for the Majority Reports AM Quickie today. Stay tuned for the full show with Sam later this afternoon.